some people have like the worst producer tags, and it just kind of throws the song off, and it seems just super random when you're pitching these beats to artists that are now popping and they hear it, right? So it's not a fan thing.
Okay.
It's like you're in these rooms with
Yeah.
new major label artists and your tag is still hitting and you were popular 2 or 3 years ago and they don't even want to pick your beat.
I love that thing. What's going down? It is the Music Entrepreneur Club podcast. My name is DJ Payne One, and I am joined by Dame Ritter, as I am every single week. You haven't missed an episode, have you?
No, I have not.
Oh, you're the most consistent special guest I've ever had on. How are you feeling, Dame?
I'm feeling good, man. This week has definitely been a productive week. I'm working on a ebook for networking for music entrepreneurs that's almost done. I posted about it just to kind of hold myself accountable because I feel like if I post about it, I kind of have to do it. So it's actually not about probably like few more pages, and then I have to get it designed so it looks nice. It'll be free. So, it's not something that I'm charging for. If you want to donate, I'm gonna try just putting the cash and just see if people donate. People get value out of it. Feel free to donate. If you don't get any value out of it, or you don't have the money to donate, that's all good as well. I'm not tripping. I'm not looking at it as a moneymaker. This was part of a book, a larger book that we were writing when Funk Volume existed. And the networking chapter is probably the most relevant and stands kind of the test of time because like the marketing section, of course, TikTok didn't even exist when we started writing the book. There would have been so much more to update in the other chapters. And I still might revisit. If the ebook does well, I might revisit the other chapters and update them and release them as individual ebooks. So we'll see. It's kind of a tester for me. I've never done anything like this. So should be out in maybe a couple of weeks or so.
Dope. Sounds good. You wanted to talk about this is news I didn't even realize was happening about Kendrick Lamar leaving Top Dog.
Yeah, so he posted on Instagram, I believe, on one of his social media platforms that his upcoming
How
album,
recent was this? This must have just happened, right?
maybe earlier this week or late last week. I'm not sure. Time it gets weird. But yeah, he posted that his next album will be his last album. He's fulfilling his commitment to Top Dog Entertainment. And I would imagine he's probably, well, I think that there were rumors that he was just going independent after that. And, when he made this announcement, the immediate reaction was like, drama, right? Like there must be a problem. There must be an issue. Like what's going on? I think this is just a case where, he started as a Top Dog artist, one of the flagship artists, the biggest artist on Top Dog. He fulfilled his commitment to the label and he wants to go off and do other things. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with this. Like, I'm not assuming that there's any drama associated with it. Obviously, Kendrick Lamar is one of our biggest stars in music and in hip hop. So he deserves the right to do whatever he wants to do. And there's probably just better business situations for him at this point. I don't know what his deal is with Top Dog, but I would imagine at this point, he has the resources to go out independently, be just as successful, and make more of the money. So he fulfilled his commitments to Top's made a lot of money with him. So it's, I think there's love on both sides, and I don't think that there's any drama with it. This is just business. So I look forward to seeing what Kendrick does next. If he goes independent or goes back to being independent, I think that's a big move for, independent artists. So I'll definitely be watching to see, what moves he makes in the future.
Do you know how his deal is structured? I mean, is it linked to, because he's with Interscope, right? He's with TDE/Interscope. So I wonder if I'm guessing he signed with TDE before Interscope, and TDE brought him to Interscope. So did Interscope have a separate agreement where he was committed to more albums than he was committed to TDE? And if so, does that mean, because I obviously Interscope would be crazy not to offer him a deal right after that and try to retain him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I definitely not going to sit here and act like I know the details of his deal. They were in a pretty good position of leverage. So I would imagine they got a pretty favorable deal with Interscope. And Kendrick's the type of artist, it seems like he kind of just beats to his own drum at this point. Like he doesn't really mess with social media that much. He's reached a point where he can do whatever he wants and still get the fan reaction. He can decide to drop whenever. He can drop surprise albums. He can build up to an album. Like he can do whatever he wants. Like Kendrick is in the top 1% of artists. So, whatever he does next, I'm sure is going to be successful, and his fans are going to be just waiting on whatever music he drops, however he drops it.
Yeah, I'm just remember we had that conversation. Was it about the game? Has the game put out an album independently yet? He hasn't, right?
I don't know what the game does.
Well, no, because
no idea.
wasn't that a whole talk where he had transitioned from being signed to a major over to being an independent, and this was I forget what we were saying, but basically he was kind of overemphasizing independence, and we're like, wait a minute, you have years and years of having the label machine behind you and being this major artist at the peak of the record industry. So it's going to be a little easier for you to still sell as an independent artist than, if you had been independent this whole time. Obviously Kendrick is a totally different story because his last album is probably going to go triple platinum, and his fans are going to be so energized by that release and the news together that everyone's just going to be holding their breath until the next move. And if it is in fact an independent, or and when I say independent, that could mean a bunch of things. That could mean strange music. I doubt it, but it could. Or it could just mean he starts his own thing.
Definitely.
But you know what I'm saying? Like
definitely not.
He could work with. I don't think it's too far fetched out of any indie label scenario. I don't think it's too far fetched, but it could mean E1. I don't see him doing that. But then again, I didn't even know that this TDE thing was happening. So what the hell do I know?
At this point, yeah, the game and Kendrick are in two totally different situations. Pretty much Kendrick can move by himself. And at that point, where Kendrick's at, the only reason to go back to a label would be they offer just a ridiculous amount of money, because he basically has the same resources as the label, right? He's Kendrick Lamar. Like everybody's going to want to work with him. Part of being with a label is, one, the money, but two, the relationships. And at this point, Kendrick has every relationship that a label has, right? There's nothing that a label, unless he just doesn't want to do the work, like unless he just doesn't want to set up the operation to mimic what a label can do. If he has other things that he wants to do, say he wants to act and he wants to do all these other things, and he just doesn't feel like building out the team to replicate exactly what the label would do, that might be the other reason. So either that or just a ridiculous amount of money. Other than that, it seems like, I don't know Kendrick, it seems like Kendrick is just going to want to kind of move how he wants to move, be independent and just kind of do his own thing.
That's why I think it's incredibly interesting, because we haven't seen an artist at their artistic / commercial peak jump into the independent world from the major. I don't think we have we?
No. And some people, even when Drake was trying to figure out people were speculating what Drake would do, should Drake go independent? Drake could do the same thing. He basically can mimic any type of resources that a label can offer him. There were people doing interviews thinking that was going to be a game changer for the music industry. It's like these dudes are the top 1.1% of the industry. I don't think that ripples down to independent artists that we talk to at all. Like that's not the game that we're playing, that we don't have the resources. We're just not at that level. So, maybe it influences other artists to do the same thing, depending on how it goes. If Kendrick does go independent, or if Drake ever did, just go independent. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot more money to be made, but Drake has so many other ventures and interests that, does it really make sense to go independent for him and, build out a team that's responsible for the additional work? I don't know.
That would be intimidating to be on that team. I want to talk about this is something we wanted to talk about for a while. Producer tags, beat tags, whatever we're calling them. You had sent me some resources, Dame, and I think it was that DJ Mustard and one other producer, but both huge producers, were, I, I guess, discouraging the use of tags or questioning the use of tags and beats. And I want to say that producer Grind posted all of those interviews, or maybe not the Mustard one, but they did post a new one with Digital Nas, who's saying something similar. So let me share that quickly.
Want to put a disgusting ass tag on a beat.
So you don't like beat tags? I seen you tweeted about that.
I don't like beat tags.
What's wrong with it?
I stopped liking them because it makes your beats dated. Some producers' tag was so hot at one point in time, but if they got that on that same beat in 2021, like, why is this nigga still hopping on this nigga beats? He was hot in 2011. When you don't use no tag, it's timeless.
No tags on Kanye album?
Nah, I mean, I'm gonna be real. I try to put my tag on it. I slipped it in there, and Mike Neal was like, nah.
So I think a lot of people were upset that he said, one, that tags were corny, and then two, that he tried to put a tag on a Kanye album. But I don't see that as a contradiction. I think both can be true.
Yeah, I mean, I think because Mustard said the same thing. He said that it kind of dates your music, and if a producer has a run and you hear that tag a lot, and then the producer doesn't have as much of a public run, or people don't know that producer is still popping, and then that tag stays in there, it's like what he just said. Like, does it sound dated? Um, I just get frustrated with like terrible tags. Like, some people have like the worst producer tags, and it just kind of throws the song off, and it seems just super random. So if you are gonna have a tag, so I would say two things. If you are gonna have a tag, make sure that it's something cool. And number two, I would respect the artist. Like, if an artist doesn't want it in there, I wouldn't push back at all. Like no, because I've seen producers be like, I need to keep my tag in there. It's like, and the artist is like, no, it's my song. Whether I feel like it clashes with the song, or whether I just don't want it in there, like, the artist doesn't want the tag, I feel like the artist should have the final say. So I don't necessarily see anything wrong with tags, and I understand why some producers want to keep their tags in there. But have some good tags and respect the artist's final decision. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole thing is, if we're gonna use the corny word, I can't even say it's corny. It's just what it is. It's a popularity.
Tags by themselves aren't corny. It's some people's tags are corny.
No, some people's tags aren't great. I mean, anything can be corny. I'm just, in terms of the concept of having tags in songs, I'm trying to think if there's been a situation where I feel like this might be something more just for producers. Like, as a fan and as a non-music producer, Dame, do you listen to songs and then you hear the producer tag and you're like, oh, this guy again?
No, I never had that reaction. Sometimes people like it. Some people like it. Some people like hearing the tag, and that's kind of people sing the tag when it hits.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the song. But my question is, have you heard or have you experienced fans hearing a producer tagging a beat and saying, oh, why is this producer still making beats? What? Nah.
No, I haven't heard the reaction I've never heard the reaction, why is this producer still making beats? But I've heard the reaction, this tag sucks. Like, what the hell was that? I've heard the reaction of like, what the hell was that?
Yeah. I think those are two different conversations. And the conversation about a tag being trash is your conversation. The conversation about tags making a song feel dated simply because the producer the tag represents had popularity that dwindled. That's the conversation that Digital Nas and DJ Mustard are having. And it's crazy to me because like Mustard he hasn't changed his tag up and hasn't stopped putting music out. Maybe we've heard his tag less and less, but I don't know. I feel I don't think that's affected him at all.
No, I don't. But I don't feel like I'm not a producer, nor am I as successful as DJ Mustard. So maybe he knows something that I don't. So I wouldn't agree with him, but I wouldn't like argue with him either. Because maybe he has information that I don't have. Because maybe it's about, when you're pitching these beats to artists that are now popping and they hear it, right? So it's not a fan thing.
Okay.
It's like you're in these rooms with new major label artists and your tag is still hitting and you were popular 2 or 3 years ago and they don't even want to pick your beat because it sounds like 5 years ago. That I'm assuming is probably what he's talking about. And I can see how that makes sense.
Yeah, I could see that. And I don't think it's I think it's a stupid ass reason, but it goes back to my experience with just leasing beats online. I mean, my tag, virtually all my major placements, they took that tag right out. You don't hear my tag. And trust me, I did try to sneak it in there. And whoever's running the session is telling the engineer, no, delete that. Okay.
Play your tag. Can you play it quickly? I can't.
It changed a lot, and it was probably like what you said. I've never liked my tag. It's not good.
Because right now I don't even know. I don't know if I've heard it.
Probably not because I don't use it. Like the 1 week notice stuff, you didn't hear a single DJ Pain One or Dream Life tag. It's intentional. So I stopped tagging my beats because of complaints from online beat licensing.
You should do a session where you rate people's tags. You should do it.
I mean, I could do. Some people have amazing tags, and I'm jealous of them. But I did used to put a single tag as an intro, like a signature, just right in the intro, and it didn't affect the verse. It didn't affect the hook, so I didn't see an issue with it. It's just like, there's my name. Everyone's doing it. Every song on the radio virtually has a producer tag in it. So why are you mad at me for putting a tag in my beat? And I think part of that is because of how the beat leasing market has worked, where we now have associated the presence of a tag with an unlicensed beat. So terms like untagged or tagless come up in the beat leasing world all the time, where it's like, do you want to pay for this beat? Cool, you get the untagged version. So our recording artists start associating a tag with an unpaid license. And so, yet, and this is what's ironic, in the mainstream music world, tags are everywhere. You hear Mustard on a beat, you hear Metro Boomin, you hear Murder on the Beat, you hear so many freaking tags. It's nuts. And I guess when you're at that level, things change. And that's where, to me, I don't want to call it corny because this is just life, but this is where the popularity contest element comes in, where, if I had a #1 record tomorrow that was huge and my tag was in it, you can bet that people buying my beats online would ask me why my tag wasn't in the beat they just purchased. And it has happened before, because there are people that license my beats that are actually fans of my catalog, and then they say, okay, why isn't your tag in there? And then I tell them, like, oh, I'd say most people, probably 55 to 60% of the people that license my beats don't want the tags. There's another 40% that is either neutral, or they would appreciate having the tag in there just because it's a co-branding thing for them. They want their brand associated with my brand. It's kind of like my voice is on the beat without me actually being on it as a vocalist. So I understand both perspectives, but yeah, I think for the most part it's just a popularity contest. And of course, if you're working with, it's like if you got a Drake feature tomorrow, would you not list him as a feature and use that as a publicity tool for your song? Right. So if you got a DJ Mustard beat tomorrow, would you be stupid enough to say, "No, take that tag off"? I don't know. Some rappers are actually like that and have consistently been like that. Apparently, Plies is one where he just doesn't accept tags, and he's obviously worked with some of the biggest producers, which I thought was interesting. Maybe it's this artistic integrity thing that he has. I don't know. I would be curious to know. I've never met Plies, but that would be, if I got the chance to interview him, I have a lot of questions for him. That would be one of them.
Plies is hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, he honestly, Plies is one of those guys that really figured out social media. Really, even like to this day, he's still winning on social media. And unfortunately, in my opinion, because I'm a Plies fan, unfortunately, we haven't heard a new album. I don't think he's put out a new album recently, but I know that he's still staying in the spotlight because of what he's posting on social media, because it's funny and it's relevant and it's consistent.
Yeah. So I think the moral of the story is, if you want your beats, if you want your tag to be in the beats, like, step your social media game up. Like, you have to be your name has to be additive to the marketing value of the song. Right. So if that is the case, they're going to want your tag in there because it helps the song. If nobody knows who the hell you are and your tag is trash, you're definitely not there. You're going to get a lot of requests to take the tag out. So I think that's what it is.
And even if you are popular and you got plaques on the wall, people still might not give a fuck. So I don't know. I mean, I think at first I started feeling a way about it when people were saying, take that tag out. I'm like, but it's my signature. Like, they don't give a damn. At a certain point, yeah, I could talk about my personal connection to my art and this and that. At the end of the day, they just want the tagless version. So that's when I stopped. And I'll still have people come back because maybe they want a beat that I made 3-4 years ago when I still was maybe putting a tag in the intro. And then they contact me and like, why is there still a tag? I paid for this license. I'm just like, damn, guys. All right, we need to meet each other halfway, because number one, my little quiet ass tag in the intro does not affect your song in any real way. But number two, you are paying for a service, and so you have the right to say, remove that, and I should honor that. So I'm not going to argue. I'm just going to take it out, but I'm going to take a deep breath beforehand and think, well, why can't I be DJ Mustard? Why can't I be Murder on the Beat? Then everyone will love my tag and they'll want my tag, at least for a while, until I do a producer grind interview. I'd love to have that experience to share. Yeah, I tried to put a tag on a Jay-Z album and Young Guru said no. I think I'm winning, even if I'm losing in that situation. Okay, Dame, you wanted to talk about some new Spotify feature that's going to change the game, put more dollars in the artist's pocket, and revolutionize the music business, right?
No, probably actually the opposite. And I really don't know. I really don't know. I actually was interviewing for a job with Spotify a few years back, because in that time when, I really didn't know what I was doing next after Funk Volume blew up, I was interviewing with different companies. Spotify was one of them, but I just don't understand some of the moves that they make sometimes. So they have something called discovery mode, and I heard about it maybe a month or so ago. I'm not sure if it's live now, but discovery mode is essentially something that artists can opt into, and you're going to receive a reduced royalty rate in exchange for more exposure. That I think that they will show your music in more of people, not feeds, but it comes up in people's Spotify radio and things like that. So your music will be more visible and get more preference in the algorithm if you opt into a reduced rate. Now, I have a lot of problems with this, right? Number one, you're already being raked through the coals publicly for not paying enough to artists. There's issues with royalty rates, like people already want to be paid more. So just the optics of it, giving people an option to make even less, even though, I've been on here a lot saying that artists are winning from streaming, put that aside, the optics and the public, the most people think that, you need to pay people more on Spotify. The royalty rates suck. Now, knowing that is the optics, like, why would they even present this? Like, I don't get it just from a PR standpoint. Like, so one, why would they present it? And if we just think about it, right? Like, let's just say this is a popular program, right? Let's just say most people opt into the Discovery program. How could they possibly give everybody a bump in the algorithm if hella people opt into it? If hella people opt into it, the algorithm is probably going to act like the algorithm already does, right? And now Spotify gets to pay people a lot less. So how successful can this program be? Like, how big can this program be? Can everybody get favoritism from the algorithm? No, it's not possible. The algorithm's going to act like it does now. Everybody's going to be treated the same. Spotify is going to come out winning because they now get to pay people less. Like, do they think people can't think? Like, I just don't understand the optics. I don't understand how it could possibly work for a lot of artists. Now, if there is a hole in my thinking, Payne, let me know. I'm
trying to find the article and I can't see it. So, okay, say that I upload my first song to Spotify today. Spotify gives what are they offering?
Like, so you take it's kind of like payola, right? So you're taking a reduced royalty rate in exchange for better visibility with their algorithm.
So they're basically just admitting, hey, most of your music is getting buried because we have these backdoor deals where we prioritize other artists. But hey, now you can get exploited.
Well, I don't know that piece. I don't know, like, hey.
But that's what it sounds. I'm saying, like, that's what's implied. Where if you say, hey, we're gonna reduce your royalties even more, but we're gonna give you a fairer shot in the algorithm.
So no, you're using the wrong word. Like, not a fairer. Like, that, to me, it's just it's like payola. It's just like, hey, I want to move up in the line, according to the algorithm. So most of what moves your music on Spotify, I would argue, is going to be what you do with, the quality of the music and your marketing tactics. Mm-hmm. That I think is going to, trigger the algorithm more so than just like putting up a song and just letting it ride.
So it's like a speed pass at the amusement park. But if everyone buys a speed pass, then what's the point of a speed pass, you're saying?
Basically.
I
don't get the PR look. I don't get how it could actually work for a lot of artists. I just think it's a stupid ass idea. And whoever's coming up with these ideas, probably has never worked with artists, and definitely not independent artists. Like I don't get it.
You know what's really trash about it to me, and really careless, is that this is just open to anybody, right? It's not. And I could just scream into my mic for an hour and put that on Spotify and say, "Hey, I'm going to opt in for fewer royalties, prioritize this song." They're not. Is someone actually going to manually review it and say, "No, this is just you screaming. We're not going to put this on the top of the algorithm," or would they just have to do it because I opted in?
I have no idea. Now I'm open to the possibility of, me being wrong. Maybe it's a great thing, but I don't know how to test it. So I don't know how it works. Like, I don't know if you have to turn it on for your entire catalog. I think you can turn it on for certain songs and maybe off for others.
I'll try it. I'll try it.
So maybe just to test it with older stuff, because you know how the older stuff has been performing, right? So if you turn it on for the older stuff, is there any change in performance, in streams or monetization? So I guess I would want to see that. I know I've already kind of screamed at them and said it sucks, but I'm open to changing my mind if people are turning it on for their back catalog and it starts to generate more followers, more streams, and more interest in your new music that you drop.
I actually don't even know if I can. My Spotify for artists account is all messed up.
So how can it be? What do you mean messed up?
Like, it's not linked to my artist account, or it was, but I can't access it. I don't know. There's something weird.
So yeah, if you can test it, let me. I don't even know if it's available now. But I heard about it a while ago, and I just saw another video about it. I think it was from what's that organization called? A2M, for the independent artists and labels. I think it's A2M. They posted about it. But
what
yeah,
did they say?
I forget exactly what they said, but it wasn't for it. It was, kind of against it. I know it wasn't in support of the Spotify discovery tool. So yeah, so right now I think it sucks, but I'm open to changing my mind if somebody turns it on their back catalog and they see benefits from it. But I really and if it works, it's not going to work for that long, right? Because if people start learning that it works and everybody starts turning it on, then we're going to have the same issue that I explained earlier. Like, it's, the algorithm's just going to work the same for everybody. So yeah, I right now I don't get it, but let me know, Payne.
I just want to try it out and see what happens, but can't yet because I can't actually log into my. I'm gonna figure it out. It seems like it cheapens the platform though, and I feel like this is one. It's like a live music venue. It's like House of Blues, right? Maybe I shouldn't equate Spotify to House of Blues, but I'm gonna do it anyway because my analogies are terrible. It's like if House of Blues suddenly said, "Oh, by the way, you don't have to go through a booking agency. You don't even have to be a big artist or a good artist to perform at our venue anymore. You can just give us 100% of your merch sales and you can get on stage." Doesn't that cheapen the brand of House of Blues? It seems like it cheapens Spotify. Maybe their PR is terrible, by the way. We've talked about this before. Whoever's I feel like it's just Daniel just waking up in the morning and just saying fuck everybody, and that's his approach. That's his morning brief, and he just decides he's going to go straight to the media with that attitude. Because didn't that happen last time where they were complaining about royalties and they asked him about it? He goes, maybe they should just make more music. It was something like that, and just like,
Yeah,
you could have. You need to hire somebody to speak for you, dude, because you're just not doing this media thing very, very well.
Yeah, his tone is always way off. So it's, I think Spotify needs to understand that a lot of artists, most artists are very sensitive. So you have to be careful with your words. Like he sounds crazy sometimes, even if what he's saying, like I actually agree with him. I just don't agree with how he's saying it. Right. You have to be, we live in a time where we have to make more music. Like you have to be more present, more visible, at least until you get to Kendrick Lamar status, or not even Kendrick Lamar. Like even, even successful independent artists can kind of pick and choose when they want to release music. The Chance the Rappers of the world, or even Hobson, like he doesn't have to release a lot of music because he's gotten to a certain point where he has, not only a certain number of fans, but the type of fans, like the super fans. So even when you get to that point, you can kind of, have more flexibility in when you decide to release music. But until then, you kind of have to release music on a consistent basis, because when you release music on Spotify, it bumps your catalog every time you release new music, because you're bringing new people to the song, new followers, and hopefully, they dive into some of your older stuff too. So if you continue to do that, build it over time, like it makes sense why you would need to release music consistently. But to say it the way he did, artists are probably going to feel away, and there's a lot of times just a disconnect with the communication.
Yeah, there is. And yes, artists are emotional and sensitive. It's a bad combination. I know there are things you don't want me to talk about, but like that email that I forwarded you, and I don't want to talk about that email that I forwarded you.
I just never want to talk. I never again on this podcast want to talk about like stupid fan comments. Like if there's comments that
that wasn't a fan though, that was a customer.
Right, stupid customer or fan comment. Like if there's learning to be pulled out of stupid comments or back and forth on social media, 100% completely fine with that. But if it's just us exposing an idiot just for being an idiot, like, that's no longer fun.
No. I wasn't going to do that. I don't actually put screenshots up here. So I just want to ask you. So in a nutshell, I got an email from somebody who doesn't understand the music business and doesn't understand underlying composition copyright. And they were very angry, and the tone struck me as being combative and accusatory and disrespectful. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dame.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm not just being extra sensitive.
No, you're not being sensitive, but I mean, it's the same. I mean, I just feel like it's the same thing over and over again.
I feel like it's the same thing over and over again because it's the same damn topic over and over again. I got to deal with that shit every day. But my thing is, I wasn't reactive. I didn't even talk to him about it. I was just like, look, I'm not having this conversation because it's just ridiculous. But I think that emotional part of, and I've interviewed a lot of artists. Brianna Marin was a good example because not only is she licensing beats online, but she's doing it as a songwriter. So we kind of see her as more of an artist. And she and I have spoken about, a lot of emails and DMs that we get. And there's a mosquito in here. And what she said in the interview was, some days, this isn't verbatim, some days she will want to cuss somebody out, which I'm sure we can all relate to. And she will just type out exactly what she wants to type out, all the visceral knee-jerk stuff and then not send the email, just walk away and come back to it hours later and then reread and almost 100% of the time she realizes, okay, that's not what I need to send. And it's not. But you can feel those feelings. It's just a matter of impulse control. You don't have to hit send. So unfortunately, if you don't understand the music business, you talk about this all the time, this level of paranoia where there are so many people who are paranoid about what's in a contract or what could be in a contract. However, they don't understand what's in the contract, even if it were right in front of them, which it always is, that they get so paranoid, they let that paranoia take over their impulse control and they just freak out. And I see that happening all the time. And it's like, you got to learn to be respectful to people. If you think there's something that could be unfavorable for you, bring it up, but don't accuse. If you think there's something that is if there is something that's confusing, ask a question, don't react. Don't assume everybody's out to get you. If you do that in any aspect of life, like if I start dating a woman tomorrow and on the third date, I'm saying, let me go through your phone, I think you're cheating on me. She needs to leave me alone. If you're getting a beat from me and the second you look at the contract, you're saying, why are you trying to fuck me over? Just because you don't understand what a publisher is or what a writer is, then I don't want to deal with you because you're being disrespectful for no reason. You could have asked a question. So I think a lot of us in the music business are in that space where we love our music and therefore we're emotional and we're also hyper vigilant because we have heard everything there is about the business, all the negative stuff. But then we're so inexperienced, we don't actually know the difference between something normal and something fine or something actually sinister. So we just assume everyone's out to get us and we react and we create this negative cloud around us. And it's just,
we make assumptions all the time, right? And it's based off of our experience or how we live our lives, and we assume that maybe other people kind of live their lives the same way. So I know this is not the exact same thing, but it's similar. So if you're wondering why you didn't get a text back from somebody, and you're the type of person that texts back right away, you're on top of your text. You might assume that person does the same thing, but maybe this person, puts their phone on silent. Maybe they take time. Maybe there's periods through their day where they don't touch their phone at all, but you're over here getting mad because you're starting to make all these assumptions. Oh, this person doesn't fuck with me, or this person, is a bad person or whatever. And they're really over there just meditating and not even touching their phone. So, I mean, we just have to stop making assumptions. And I like what Brianna said, because I actually do that with my tweets. Like I probably draft way more tweets than I post. Because even though I do go on rants on Twitter sometimes, and I feel like Twitter is more I feel like Twitter is just like a negative place. Like when you have something negative to say, like you tweet it. Like that's just the natural thing to do on that platform. But I definitely have drafted way more tweets than I've actually pressed send on. And maybe that should be a feature you can put on your social media. Like it's just like you can turn it on so that all your posts get put in like a holding pattern, so that 3 hours later it reminds you again. You get an alert like, do you want to post this? So you can read it and say yes or no. I think a lot of people could use that. But anyway, yeah, we can wrap it up.
All right. Once again, that's the Music Entrepreneur Club podcast. Appreciate you tuning in. If you want to join the free music business mentorship program that we hold twice a week, you don't have to do anything but visit beatstars.live Mondays and Thursdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you can't remember that, Dame, how do they get alerted every time we go live?
If you want a text message to get an alert right before we go live, just text MEC to 844-206-7800 and you'll get a text. Remind you, but you should also be putting it in your calendar. We're live every Monday and Thursday at 12 p.m. Pacific. You shouldn't need the text. You should just put it in your calendar. It's important for artists to use their calendar. It it lowers the stress levels of your manager if you have a manager, and it just helps you be more on top of things. So use your calendar.
Appreciate you tuning in. We'll catch you same time, same place next week. Peace.
Peace.